My name is Eloise Jones. I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Liverpool in the UK, and I'm delighted to be joining ANAMED as a fellow for the 2024 to 25 academic year. My research generally looks at mythology and cultural identities in Western Anatolia, with a particular focus on the way these are expressed through funerary iconography. During my time at ANAMED, I'll be working on my PhD thesis, the working title of which is With Flashing Eyes, Femininity, Mythology and Apotropaism in Lycian Funerary Iconography from the Archaic to the Late Classical Period. My project focuses on the use of female mythological creatures on Lycian tombs, including gorgons, sphinxes and harpies, and the extent to which these had an apotropaic function, whereby they were included to protect the tombs or the souls of the dead. The vast majority of the primary evidence we have from Lycia, including art and epigraphy, is funerary in nature and is related to the tombs that so famously dominate the region's landscape. Whilst Lycia is of course mentioned in historical and literary sources, these are written by non-Lycians, whereas using primary archaeological material as the main source for this research allows me to centre an internal rather than external perspective of the region and its culture, beliefs and practices. Lycian tombs display a really stunning range of imagery, from battles and hunting scenes to family portraits and feasts, to cities, animals, plants and dances. I will be focusing on one particular iconographic theme that appears across the region, and hope to use this as a platform for developing a broad understanding of Lycian funerary cult and practice. The reference to the flashing eyes in the thesis title comes from Euripides' play Heracles, where the spirit of madness that takes over Heracles is described as having a gorgon head with 100 hissing serpents and flashing eyes. I feel like this description is so evocative of the sense of terror and power embodied by the gorgon, an idea so intense that she becomes the face of the madness, which completely dominates one of the most powerful heroes in world mythology. This, of course, felt like an appropriate reference for a thesis exploring the apotropaic power of the feminine. It's worth noting that there is, of course, no shortage of male mythological creatures in either Mediterranean or Near Eastern tradition, but they don't appear to have been used in funerary iconography in the same manner in Lycia. That contrast indicates that there may have been something important about the gender of the female creatures that was central to their apotropaic usage, and this in turn may tell us something about Lycian attitudes towards women and their place in society. Methodologically, I am combining the use of statistical analysis of the frequency and location of the relevant images with iconographic analysis of the material. When approaching iconography, cultural context is of course a hugely important consideration. Traditionally, older Western scholarship has treated Lycia as part of the ancient Greek world, but in reality, its history and culture are far more complex. Lycia would, of course, have been well connected to Greece due to its geographical location on the southwest coast of Anatolia, and they do indeed share some notable artistic traditions when it comes to relief sculpture. However, Lycian funerary art and architecture also shows Persian and other Near Eastern influences, as well as elements which appear to be indigenous to the region itself. Whilst undertaking my studies, I'm keen to give ample space to understanding how this range of cultural influences was expressed in Lycian art, considering elements from east and west of the region, but without overlooking that which is essentially Anatolian, essentially Lycian about the culture. I hope that this approach will act as a means of decolonizing my research on Lycia by challenging outdated Western scholarly perspectives that center Hellenic cultural influences and default to a vision of Greece as the pinnacle of civilization in the ancient world. Instead, I'm looking to develop a more nuanced understanding of this unique region and its art, architecture and culture, particularly, of course, through the lenses of gender and mythology. It's this ethos which prompted me to focus on material originating in Lycia and support rather than overshadow this with comparanda from elsewhere in the much broader region of the Mediterranean, Near East and Anatolia. Over the last few years, I have had the invaluable experience of undertaking several seasons of fieldwork in Lycia as part of the Telmessos survey team, which has provided a real opportunity to develop my understanding of the landscape and the thousands of tombs for which it's so well known. It's a real privilege to be able to continue studying Anatolia while spending the year in Turkey. I look forward to taking advantage of the fantastic resources available at ANAMED and to becoming part of a dynamic and diverse academic community at the heart of one of the most exciting cities in the world, Istanbul.